I'm really happy to be joining this discussion. And when I read about the news of these investments, I was truly thrilled, because I think it's a fantastic positive message during a very difficult period for the country. The fact that we are, young startup companies that were created in Greece by Greek talent are able to attract foreign capital. I mean, this is truly excellent news, and of course it also came during a very difficult period for the country. But I think it's also testimony to the fact that we can do so much more to support our startup scene and to make sure that we can attract more capital to the country, create more jobs, and make the presence of the Greek startup ecosystem better known abroad. Because I think a lot of things have been happening under the surface in the Greek startup ecosystem. And even during the crisis, we had some success stories. But it seems to me that we're picking up some momentum. And of course, the more capital companies attract, the more better known these stories are, the more younger people will have incentives to focus more on entrepreneurship. And of course, we're trying to do whatever we can to support the entrepreneurship ecosystem, providing more tax breaks for R&D investment, a new framework for better tax treatment of stock options. We are, for the first time, going to be teaching our high school kids the basics of entrepreneurship. So something is really changing in terms of the attitude of Greek society towards entrepreneurship. So, as someone who spent several, actually 7 years working in the venture capital industry at a time when it was difficult to generate real traction for these types of investments, I'm really very happy with what is happening on that front. But I don't want to talk a lot. I want to hear your stories. And maybe, I don't know, Panagiotis, which way you want to do it. Maybe we can start with the companies, just a few words. I know what you do, but just how what do you see basically the future now after the investments that you received, and the fact that you're teaming up with big international companies. And then I want to hear also from the fund, but also the companies, what it is that you saw in the startups that sort of generated your interest to make these acquisitions and these investments.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I'm going to ask the founders of Softomotive, Marios Stavropoulos and Chris Kaninis, to start.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to give you a very brief intro of what we are as a company and what was our journey. So we started back in 2005 and was a startup in every aspect back then. Our focus from the beginning was on a product for automating processes for the business user and making users more productive in the workspace. It's worth noting that from the beginning, we never realized, as a mindset, we never had in our mind the distinction between the Greek market and the international market. I mean, being immersed in the internet culture, it was just a large community for regardless of the physical location or the country. So what happened at some point was that business of different sizes start realizing that this technology can be of great value for optimizing and automating processes and cutting costs. So suddenly we start getting approached by large organizations and enterprises. We transformed the company from a B2C company to a B2B company, and this was a very interesting process and journey, and we've learned a lot through this process. So then, long story short, at some point we raised a funding of 25 million USD from a London-based growth equity fund. So then we started expanding. We had already had presence in London, in the US, and in other locations, and we started expanding our presence. And then, Argyris, if you would like to say a few things from then on.
Well, I would like to focus mainly on the discussions during the acquisition. And while the acquisition deal was in the making, the conversations we held convinced us that apart from Softomotive's product per se, Microsoft genuinely appreciated the human capital of the company and its achievements. The appreciation extended from the software engineers that work on the product to the professionals that support, market and sell it to the customers. We considered Microsoft's decision to retain the R&D team in Athens and establish a development hub for the Power Automate platform here as a vote of confidence for the Greek software engineers, professionals, and in a way for the Greek startup ecosystem. Honestly, it was one of the most decisive factors that made Marios and I, in agreement with our investor always, overcome any obstacles that sooner or later, as you can imagine, arise during lengthy negotiations and bring us to where we are today. And I'm grateful that I have the opportunity today to publicly thank Charles Lamanna and Microsoft corporate development team for that. And with this, I would like to pass the baton to the rest of the panel, as I'm equally eager to and keen to hear their stories too.
It's the right time to ask Charles what he, what he saw in the company and what was the rationale behind the investment. I think we're always trying to convince, big companies that there's an excellent talent pool in Greece, that we have highly qualified people, fantastic engineers, and that it does make sense to actually keep, a big presence in the country, because that's where the human capital is. And of course, we also have the capacity. We have hundreds of thousands of talented Greeks who work abroad, who would love to come back to Greece. So there's also, if you want to grow, there's also a talent pool which is abroad, which would love to come back to Greece and possibly work for, a highly successful company that now is also part of a technology giant. So what it is that you saw that generated your interest?
Yeah, I would say that from a Microsoft perspective, it was a deal 15 years in the making. We just didn't know it yet, because I'd say Marios and team have done a great job building really remarkable IP and truly world-class technology. Like, we looked around the entire world over the last 6 or 9 months for a company to go partner with in the RPA space. And we really wanted to go after Softomotive because the technology and capability was so impressive. That's been built up over those 15 years. But it's not just the technology. It's exactly like Marios and Ardris were saying. It's also the fact that there is a team that deeply understood the space for RPA, understood the customer needs, and also had the right vision and roadmap to actually go to, I'd say, execute on RPA in the future. So those two combinations are why we got very interested in Softomotive specifically. And now afterwards, our goal and the plan is to have an RPA development hub inside of Greece, in Athens, seated with the Softomotive team. So that's the plan and vision, and that's a big step for Microsoft. I think this is the first real R&D presence we have in the country. And the fact that it's coming from Softomotive, a company that has a great culture and technology fit with Microsoft, gives us all the more confidence that it can be successful. So we're really looking forward to the next couple of years. I think we have I was talking with Marios, we have a pretty ambitious 2-year plan to work together. But we think that having the presence there with the human capital and human resources already in the country will be very valuable for Microsoft. So we're super excited about it, of course.
George Sidiropoulos, and the founder of Think Silicon.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm George Sidiropoulos. We're based in Patras and Athens. Back in 2007, with my partner Yakov Stamoulis, after working for many years for a US corporation, Atmel had a big site in Patras, Greece. We decided to found our own company, Think Silicon, and to focus on graphics processors. So what we are doing is we are developing a graphics processor, something like what NVIDIA is doing, but in a very, very small scale. And our main applications are smartwatches. So most of the smartwatches in the coming years will include our technology there. The way we managed to build the technology, to build the team, grow our expertise in the field, apply for many patents, and finally build the products was through a lot of work, days and nights. And we also used some regional and European grants for R&D. At the end, we managed to have the biggest asset of the company is mainly our customers. So we managed to have customers in the social media space. We have some very big corporations in the processor space. We have an OEM, which is the biggest smartwatch OEM in the world. We managed after many years through our presence also in North America and Asia, having some sales offices there, and building our network, which is consisting of Greeks of diaspora, but also people worldwide. We managed to build our customer base. And this is very important. It was also very important, to my understanding, for Applied to approach us. And this also happened through our network. I would prefer Gary to talk about the reasons that Applied came to us and what they saw in Think Silicon and why we're here now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Applied Materials, technology and products are at the foundation of every semiconductor chip and every display that's made in the world. We're the largest supplier of those types of technologies. And we're at a point in time, certainly we see Greece is doing a great job managing through the current crisis, but all of us are working and living very differently than we were a few months ago. And I'm a strong believer that technology is going to transform every aspect of our life in the next decade. If we look forward, many people talk about more than $10 trillion of economic value being created as technology is transforming every industry. Remote learning, I have 10-year-old twins. Every morning they get up and they do remote learning, e-commerce, and also work from home. We actually have made tremendous progress in bringing many people back to work because we're part of the essential foundation in the United States. But still, I think work from home will be pervasive going forward and really will change how we work. And I think that's also this remote connection, the ability to do any job anywhere in the world creates a great opportunity. And certainly with Think Silicon, we look at continuing to grow that capability because we can work in a very seamless way with new technologies. And relative to why we have the combination with Think Silicon, if you look at the infrastructure for the data economy, again, transforming education, remote healthcare, everything in our lives being transformed, power and performance are incredibly important. There's going to be an explosion of data going forward, and the power consumption and the latency, the bandwidth is incredibly, incredibly important. And Think Silicon technology, even though maybe today it's on the smartwatch, can be at the foundation of the trillion edge devices that will power the future data economy. And certainly the semiconductor technologies where Applied has broader and deeper technologies than anyone in the world, combining the materials, the new structures, the new architectures, and design, including Think Silicon as a very important part of that strategy. That is the future. And so we're very excited for this combination.
Well, as you said, if you can work from anywhere, why wouldn't you work from Greece? Might as well pick a nice place.
Well, I think it's about the talent. I mean, certainly we're incredibly impressed with the talent, the passion of the people. So absolutely, I think this is the future. And we absolutely plan to continue to expand in Greece with Think Silicon.
Hello, my name is Roberto Koustas. I'm co-founder and CEO of Deep Sea Technologies. And with me,
Konstantinos Fekopoulos, co-founder CTO.
Okay, so we started Deep Sea just 3 years ago. And At DeepSea, we use artificial intelligence to transform the way the shipping industry operates and communicates. So we create our own hardware in Athens in our offices and send engineers all around the world to install the systems to collect the data from vessels and then transfer them to the cloud and use AI to provide with amazing insights, not only to ship owners, which Greece has an abundance of, but also to charters all around the world. So by teaming up with ETF, we have a unique chance and a unique opportunity to bridge Greece's shipping heritage with bright young minds in Greece. And what is truly astonishing is that Greece has an abundance in talent of AI. Konstantinos, you can talk more about this as CTO.
So Roberto and I both moved to Greece from the UK to start this business. And we've been constantly astonished by the level of AI talent in Greece, in particular. And we've also found, as you mentioned, Prime Minister, that there is this huge pool of Greeks abroad at the top level in Europe and the United States who are waiting for an opportunity to move back. And we've been able to leverage this, and we've managed to recruit many people to come back.
So actually what happens is we have many people who have come from Facebook, from Amazon, from Oxford University PhDs in Cambridge, and we actually attract talent, not only Greek talent to gain it back to Greece, but also we have some global talent which comes to Greece to work. We have British people coming, German people, and it's amazing because, as you said, if you could choose a place to work, there's no better place than Greece.
Regarding where our company fits into the broader Greek economy, we believe that the huge value which the collection of data from vessels and the development of AI and analytics is essentially moving the center of gravity of the shipping industry from the vessel to the shore, in the same way that across industries, you are seeing the center of gravity moving to the people who collect and process the data. And I think there is a huge opportunity here for Greece to leverage the advantage it has in the sea to build the infrastructure on the shore and build the maritime tech companies and the new wave of AI companies. We hope to play a role in building this thing.
Yes.
Rob, what did you see in the company that you like?
Well, I think I'm going to throw my prepared comments out the window and go in a slightly different direction. Having Gary to my left and Charles to my right on the Zoom screen here, it really amplifies the fact that the best companies in the world are interested in Greece. So when we invested in Roberto and Konstantinos, we thought we had found the best in the world. And it's great to see leaders like Microsoft and AMAT also recognizing that Greece has the potential to develop some great companies. Our role is to take what is, I don't know if it's a secret in Greece, but certainly not something that was very obvious, try to make it not just a European champion, but a global champion. And we've already done that. So I think in the short time that we have been invested, which is a matter of weeks, we've been on the phone with partners in Singapore, potential partners in Singapore, potential partners in the UK, et cetera. And the idea would be to take this 40-strong team and turn it into a global champion, and then attract the attention of people like Microsoft and AMAT. Again, you're in different businesses, but that's the example I have in my mind. So as a venture capitalist, we have to fundamentally believe that Greece isn't going in the right direction. And I think thanks to your efforts and that of your team, Kyriakos, we're in a wonderful position moving forward. And I think as a venture capitalist, it gives us a lot of confidence in terms of where Greece is headed so we can make long-term investments.
Well, this is indeed a very promising story that you all told us. And again, as far as the companies that are already, operating in Greece, I'd just like to congratulate you. It's always a great pleasure when you're at the stage when you see that all your effort can lead you to a next step. Be it an acquisition by a big company or an important investment by a VC fund. So you've really tried and worked very hard during very difficult times, and I think it's a great signal of optimism that these transactions took place over the past months, but also to the big tech giants please, spread out the story that this is a country that should be on the map of big technology companies. It has, I think, the political stability, but also the human talent and the human capital, as well as a government that I think understands what it needs to do to support rapidly growing high-tech companies. And I think there's no better story to be told than the story you all told us today. It's a very, very encouraging message, and hopefully we'll see more Greek companies grow, attract interest from abroad. The goal is always to create as many high-value jobs as we can in Greece, and make sure that Greek companies make us proud by being noticed in the international technology space. So again, thank you all very much. I don't know, Panagiotis, if you want to add something.
Well, I think I would love for Kostas Mallios to add one comment. He's the corporate vice president at Applied Material, but it's the second Greek company he's selling to an international corporation, because a couple of years ago he sold Innoetics to Samsung. So he's a Greek. He's from diaspora. I see a lot of angles that would be really valuable for us. Only for a minute, Mr.
Sure, go ahead, Costa.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Prime Minister. Hi, everyone. I've been had the privilege of both selling a Greek company to a very large multinational, and now being on the other end of buying an amazing Greek company for Applied Materials. And I came, Gary has this vision about artificial intelligence, which I think is a global vision, of course, is for everyone. And we've been working on this, and it's not because I was Greek that we chose Think Silicon. We chose Think Silicon because it's a great company. The talent that is there, the team that is there, that has already been spoken about, I think is very important. I think, if I can, I'm also a VC in the country as well. I'm part of PJ Tech Catalyst, a VC fund. And I think that's what's important. I think is right now the country has momentum. And I think, through the series of deals that are happening currently, and through, frankly, the rebranding of the country, and you have played a huge role in that, Prime Minister. I watched your talk with Antholis yesterday, and frankly, I felt very proud as a diaspora Greek. I think you have a great opportunity. I've spoken with Deputy Minister Dimas and Zakiris, in the last few weeks, and I think there's an opportunity here to actually bring together a consolidated plan to really use this momentum to go forward, something very specific. That can activate all the shareholders. I think there are a lot of fans outside of Greece. There's tremendous talent and fans inside of Greece. I think there's an opportunity to build a coordinated effort to really leverage this at this point in time. I think coming out of the COVID crisis and the leadership, I think that Greece has shown on the world stage, I think is commendable. I, for one, would love to help now as part of a corporation investing in Greece with Think Silicon and working with George and Yakovos and the team as the next Microsoft guy and so forth. We're big supporters of what you and the government are trying to do.
Thank you, Costa. I'd just like to ask our two deputy ministers to say a few words, starting with Christos Dimas.
I would like to ask actually everybody to invite you to follow the Greek ecosystem. So we're very proud about the ecosystem. We're very proud about these 3 success stories. We want to have further success stories, and we're sure that we have the capability to do so. Within the next month, we will have the Greek entry point to the ecosystem, a URL, Elevate Greece, which will actually present the ecosystem, including the startups, incubator centers, the accelerators, the VC funds. So we believe that it will be a very positive extroversion message of the country, and I would like to ask you to have it in mind, keep it in mind. And we are also legislating within the month tax incentives for business angels, super deductions, as the Prime Minister said, for R&D investments. And we are also creating an innovation district in Athens and an R&D center in Salonika. So it's a strategic priority of the government to invest in our human capital, scientists, young entrepreneurs, and we hope that we will have many success stories like the 3 that we discussed today in the near future.
I'm also an ex-venture capitalist, so once venture capitalist, you're always a venture capitalist. And I will be very brief. I would like to thank you very much for being here today. Most of you, you know me from the past. I can tell you that with Deputy Minister Dimas, we are working in a very complementary way. He's building the ecosystem. I'm financing the ecosystem. And I can reassure you that all the tools, financial tools, in particular equity tools, that will be needed in order for this ecosystem to grow. Some of them are in place, and a lot of them will be in place very soon. Thank you very much.
Well, that was a very interesting discussion. Again, thank you all very much for your time. I wish you best of luck. And again, hopefully, we'll be in a position to make this to turn this into a trend in terms of attracting more foreign large multinationals to Greece, but also making sure that we stimulate our own ecosystem, first by providing venture capital, Greek venture capital to rapidly growing companies, and then hopefully also attract big foreign VC players to complement the capital that will be available in Greece. So again, thank you all very much for your time, and best of luck.